We have taken Monopoly as our inspiration to make it different usage, which we now call as Scienpoly. First, we need to understand the origin of Monopoly. So what is Monopoly about? It is an old traditional game that teach people of all ages how to add, subtract, and even multiply by using fake money to buy imaginary properties. It also teach them number sequencing and probabilities. It has been used as an effective game to increase our intelligence. So how is Scienpoly related to this? Well, we implemented the concept of Monopoly on Scienpoly. The original word of Scienpoly is science and monopoly. Well, Monopoly uses mathematics as its base subject, while Scienpoly uses science as its base subject. The features and the design of the board game, it fully involves science. The board game was merely created to make sure students have better understanding on hard topics, have some fun virtually, and also do some revision.
Problem statement. The online portal has been a useful platform for everyone to access and learn varieties of things, but the current generation has misused it to the point where they get addicted and use it for unclear purposes. Thus, me and my friends have come up with a way to use the online platform more effectively. It has just been one of the ways. We have invented Scienpoly, which is an innovative version of Monopoly, but it uses science as the base subject instead of mathematics. The novelty of this game is that no one has invented a game that comes from a Monopoly version, and it has been innovated to be an online game which is far more easier for the students and the teachers to access it. Thank you.
Rules of Scienpoly. First, every player must roll the dice before starting the game. This will then determine who gets to go first and last. The player who has the highest dice number gets to go first. Next, players will have the chance to refresh their minds using flashcards with the notes that are provided. Then all players will gather at the starting point. Each player will receive $50 as starter money. The player who's going first needs to roll the dice. The dice's number will then determine how many times the scientist has to shuffle through the question cards. Once that's done, the player has to answer the questions they were given. The questions vary from 1 to 3 topics. If players can answer the question, they'll be able to move forward. If the players can answer the questions correctly, they'll be able to move 5 paces forward and will be rewarded 5 science points. Science points are points you get after answering the question you were given.
This is the game's main Google slide. It's where all the players will be playing Scienpoly. This slide contains all the information, links, board, and more. The Click to Go slide is a slide where players can access different slides in the same Google slide without having to scroll back and forth. It is also located at the left for other slides. This slide contains separate links to separate Google slides, documents, digital dice, and an editable copy of Scienpoly. Introduction to Scienpoly is a Google document that holds important information about the game. Questions, flashcards, treasure cards, element property cards, and answers for Scienpoly questions are all separate Google slides. These links will be frequently used during the game. The square dice roller link will direct the players to an online dice roller. Lastly, the editable version of Scienpoly is a copy of Scienpoly, but this slide will be used in the actual Scienpoly game instead of the main slide, as it allows players to edit.
The player will choose one of the tokens to represent themselves in this board game. In this slide, when the player bought a property, which is the element, they will copy and paste the circular tokens, also known as the symbol, onto the board. Next is the money or sign box. The picture on the sign box are physicists, chemists, or scientists that have contributed to the science field, such as Ernest Rutherford. The money management is managed by the scientist that is chosen by players. The scientists have numerous tasks, and one of them is handling the money to ensure that the players won't be able to cheat during the game. And lastly is the board itself, and the inverted version to make sure that the players can use the board without having any difficulties.